Everybody, today is March 20th, 2018. This is MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am Goze. To my left is MMA Junkie Radio's fight analyst, Dan Tom. Back in New York, it's producer Danny.
Ooh, me?
That was pretty funny, huh?
Yes, me.
It's actually 55 degrees. That's why it didn't catch me off guard. I was like, oh, all right, my phone says 55. It says 57.
You just thought I was just like, yeah, I'll just look up your
I thought,
thing
yeah. I thought you were just like, God, can't you guys just look it up? And you just did it. So I was like, all right. For those of you wondering what the hell's going on.
Is today Tuesday or Wednesday? That is a real question.
Dan what the weather was, and he said, or Danny said it's 57. Or I don't know what the hell just happened.
We're talking about time, weather, and Dan doesn't know what day it is. So clearly we are off to a strong start.
Tuesday, March 20th.
Yes. Any stun guns from yesterday?
No, but now that I think about it, I want a stun gun Peter Parker.
Okay, why is that?
Wait,
all he
what?
brought to Thanksgiving was that stupid can of cranberry? How lazy is that guy?
Dude, or how about like you're gonna commit your first career murder and you're gonna do it to avenge Uncle Ben, but you're not even gonna tell the guy you're avenging. You're just gonna like push him out of a window at a dark department store. Not even pay off the whole setup.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Took me out of the film until he threatened to beat that old lady with a stick for some cranberries. That Peter Parker is crafty, Goze.
When does Game of Thrones come back?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm really bad with that. I should know.
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
I'm caught up with it. For what that's worth.
Danny, why don't you watch it?
I just never got into it in the right time. I feel like and now it's like it's this mountain of things I have to catch up on. You know, all the episodes are really long.
Isn't that everybody who loves a show? Don't they always wish they could just go back and watch it all?
The mountain makes it worth catching up on.
But my attention span isn't like the best, and these are really long episodes, aren't they?
Oh, they're an hour long, right?
Your best. Your best won't do.
Stand by.
Let's just talk about that best.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goze. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goze.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goze, our ace co-host. To my left, it's the fight analyst, Dan Tom, and of course, producing Danny Otto, back in the Big Apple. Shout out to Beaver Rob as well, hanging out here on the desk. What's up, guys?
Not much. Just, I feel like everybody around me is in a bad mood today. Are you in a bad mood or are you good?
No, I'm all right.
Okay, you're in a good mood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Good. Keep that going.
You know, that thing we just talked about, that's actually 2 bits of information.
Okay.
If you think about it.
Why is that?
This is the whole I got a secret thing. Sorry, Junkie Nation. Because it's about 2 people, but think about what it represents for one of them. You'll get it. It'll hit you. Yeah. It'll hit you.
Yeah.
All right.
This?
Yeah. So it'll be good news for everybody. All right. Here we are on a Tuesday, March 20th. Is today the first day of spring?
Yes.
Or it's not the 21st?
I mean, I keep getting first day of spring from everyone. So
Boy, it didn't feel like it. It felt like the first day of getting back to being chillier again here in Vegas.
What the hell is going on out here, dude? Every day it's cold. It's
See, I like chilly weather.
I love it too, but let me know. Like, I need to know what to put on in the morning. It's super cold, then during the day it's hot. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
I slept a lot during March Madness weekend. Perhaps maybe vicariously for you guys or the people who weren't sleeping. So maybe you tell me, was it raining a lot during the weekend? Because I feel like I would sleep for stretches and I'd wake up and it'd be like wet streets. Like, what? Did I just miss a rainstorm?
I got any rain.
I didn't see the sun for 4 days.
Perhaps it rained and dried up, but I don't think I saw any.
Wow.
Hey, is that the soccer team?
I guess so, yeah.
New York Football Club? Is that part of like the City Group? You know how Manchester City's owned by a group from the Middle East called City Group, and I think they own New York.
If that's the case, they got dethroned back in.
And someone else.
They got dethroned making their shirts. If that's the case, I like.
Well, there is a connection. I mean, I
know
I think his name is Sheikh Tahnoon, something like that, and he is a mixed martial art. Oh no, yeah, I guess he's a martial artist because he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So if there's a connection with, I believe his name is Nick, who was a part of Zappos and then decided to go into Dethrone. Maybe
there you go.
Maybe there is a distant connection there, but who knows?
Yeah.
I just like the shirt. So, all right. Boy, what was I gonna say? Oh, so I always heard June 21st is the longest day of the year. So for whatever reason, I always thought if that's the longest day of the year, that must be the apex of summer. And all I'll do is add 3 months and call September 21st, I guess, the beginning of fall or prime fall. Prime fall, there you go. December 21st, which is 3 months later, would be prime winter. And then March 21st, not the 20th, because you're right. I saw a lot of, hey, it's spring. I thought, isn't it the 21st? I always thought the 21st was the key every 3 months to the prime spot of the season. Not the changing of the season, but the prime spot of the season. Well, who knows? Who the fuck cares anyway? I don't know why I'm bringing it up. But, yeah, we already did the clock thing, right?
Yeah.
Sprung ahead 2 weeks ago or something. But the UK peeps, they're still on 7 hours. Ireland as well. Artem Lobov, who will be a guest tomorrow, we've been connecting, and what's been throwing us off is I keep assuming it's an 8-hour time difference. It's still 7 hours because we sprung ahead, but they didn't make the adjustment. That's why that day, Man United, I was anxious because I thought the game had already started, and Howie D pointed out, it's a 12:45 p.m. start. So it's going to hit them soon.
I think I was traveling.
They need it more than us. Aren't they the ones that have gloomy days? This is a chance for them to have an extra hour of sunshine. Yeah. Trying to hook them up over there.
I like gloomy days.
I like the words gloomy, chilly, and cool. It just means the sun isn't out and I'm not a sweaty bastard.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoy the summer here, but it's so much easier when you're at the pool, in the pool, or what else? I guess, or in the shower. I mean, cooling off, or just in air conditioning. But otherwise, it can be pretty miserable, especially when you're in your car, man. Oh,
my worst summer was actually my worst summer was actually here when I lived here.
New York.
Yeah.
Humidity.
Yeah, the humidity was another animal. You know, the cement and the heat that it generates.
It was another animal.
It was another animal. And not being able to get away from it, just going home and just still being sweating and just having one window in your room and no ventilation or vents and stuff here. I lived with a girlfriend at the time, and then we split a room with another gentleman. And so it was
the room.
It was the place. It was two bedroom apartment. And you don't want to know how much it was per month. It was ridiculous in Bushwick, Brooklyn. But
$2,800.
Yeah, that's actually right on, spot on.
So $1,400 each person.
I split with the lady and got a little bit of a lesser one because I was kind of the third in. She convinced me to move over there, and part of that I guess it was probably like 150 to 200, maybe less a share. I had the cheapest third.
Did you work over there as well?
Yeah, I got a job transfer there at the time.
Oh, okay, what'd you do over there?
Same with Dan Bilzerian over here.
Huh?
Of course he worked.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he was in school or.
The same job I referenced on yesterday's show, Whole Foods Market on Chelsea, and it was unfortunate because I was doing that here, except I had a cush job. I was doing the accounting in the back, getting the deposits ready every day, and then at night I would coach the kids classes and then the general adult classes at Extreme Couture. So it was really cushy, and like many gentlemen, the money is a gentleman. We fall short to our hearts, the love of ladies, and I got sidetracked. And
is that the same girlfriend you recently?
No, but the similar theme is, you know, they don't just take your heart, they take your finances, or in this case, my health. Boy, we're getting real personal on this show today. And yeah, it was a great learning experience. But I had to come back and you know, live with my mom for the first time, and the job I had wasn't there waiting for me.
For the second time, I'm sure
you know, when
grew
I
up with her,
second
right?
that and what's up. Oh yeah. But I mean, I spent most of my I spent my 20s, you know.
Yeah, that actually had you and handed you to somebody, and then you came back for the first time.
Well, it was an important thing, because even though, you know, I could have been, woe is me, I lost everything or this or that, and it was weird because, kind of rounding back to what you just said, it was weird because I spent my whole 20s independent. So now you're 30, which is, you know, when you hit 30 or when you're coming up on 40, like Goze is, you come in like allegedly. You makes you think weird stuff, you know. It puts you in a weird state of mind, like where you should be. Yeah. You're like, I'm 30, I should be here. So now all of a sudden you're living abroad. You got all these crazy jobs, and now you're living back at home when you're 30. It just felt like such a backward step. Mood.
Just ask me for the playbook. I got you. I'll tell you guys everything that's going to happen, play by play, and hopefully it'll prep you for it. Nobody gave me the playbook, but I didn't want to move back so bad, and this had to do because my father and I had a tiff. I didn't want to move back so bad that I lived in a chiropractic office for about...
Oh, wow.
Well, I don't know how long, but let me see.
3 months.
No, I think it was longer. Hang on. It was...
What was the age here?
I had to broker that deal.
I think I remember what happened. Watch. There was a breakup in December of 97.
All right.
And then I believe I went to live with my buddy Sammy the Squid. And I think after 3 months, I go, okay, this is fucking dumb. And I think that's when I went to the chiropractic office. And so that would have been, I think, 5 months I was there.
Okay. 5 months?
5 months.
Wow. Somebody else lived there, too, for a long time. Maybe even longer.
Who?
A friend that lives in the Philippines.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You guys want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
So the other doctor's brother.
Okay.
He was a perv like me. We used to like to go to the strip club, right? So I don't know why I'm throwing him in there. I should just leave him alone because the story doesn't even affect him now that I think about it. So we went to Mr. J's.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not sure. I don't think I did it, but I think it was that whole thing where us buddies, we throw each other under the bus.
Right.
And I think it was either Sammy the Squid or my buddy Gabe. I don't think Woody was there, but one of them goes, "He's a chiropractor." They said it to me. To one of the strippers, because she was talking about her back being out or something. And she goes, "Really?" She goes, "I'm hurting so bad. I think I'm done for the day, you know." And these idiots thought, let's get her back to the office. You can adjust her, and then maybe we can get some lap dances or I don't know, a free show. I don't know. And so, of course, I go along for the ride because really it was all really, really, really close. I had the keys and everything, and I knew how to adjust somebody's upper back. I just didn't know how to do their neck.
Yeah.
And so then I said, I think we had luckily different cars. And I go, you guys got to delay them. And I got to run in there and take out everything that says the doctor's name, right? And,
oh, my God.
So I did, right?
Bad. The things
and now, granted, I mean, not the whole office, but enough of where I knew she was going to go to the lobby and into a certain room that I didn't need it to say Dr. So-and-so. So I went in there and just... You know, he had a picture. Remember, he was going through a divorce and everything. So I had to, like, you know, pictures, just move them and remove degrees.
Oh man!
And so she came in, and we did a whole, you know, well, let's do the examination. And
take notes, kids.
So I just knew I'm not gonna do the neck, even though he had told me a little bit about what to look for, subluxations and everything. I mean, not because he ever told me, in case you ever have a stripper here, just because I was always curious. But he did teach me about the upper back. So what I was able to do was lay her down, and I think it's called palpate. You know, when you're pressing on someone, when you're pressing on the back, palpate and look for the subluxations, which are where you're out. And so you're doing all this, and then finally I go, all right, here, it's time. But I knew how to do it, and I did it, and I got some cracks out. She goes, whoa, that loosened things up. So she was already happy. And I go, I'm going to have to do an x-ray if we're really going to see what's wrong with your neck. I think I'd rather stay away from that right now. Oh, no, I think I already feel better. Cool. And I'd have to ask the guys and see. I think it may have led to lap dances or who knows. They bought some beers, and we had some beers, and I you know, I'd be lying to you.
Find out?
I'd be lying to you if I told you, oh my God, something crazy happened. So I know it's not like anything crazy happened, but I know that I was a chiropractor for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I know there was an adjustment, and I believe a top came off and some dances were had, and that was that.
See, that's Did our friend ever find out?
I told him, I believe, so this was 98, and this is 18, so this is a 20-year-old story.
Wow.
And something tells me I told him once about 5 years ago, but I think we had drinks. And I don't think I mentioned the adjustment. I just think I told him we brought a stripper back. And he had a fucking laugh. You know. But I don't think I mentioned the adjustment. So then once she was done, I had to put everything back. And
what if she would have came back, though? Like, hey, this is so great. I would like to become a regular patient. Like, what would you have done then?
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know, man. I think, good question. I always think about these things, too. And I may have just not gone in for a while. Now, remember, 98 is when I got my phone, and so not everyone had a phone, because I know I had one of the earlier phones. Now there's people that'll tell you I had one in 93, but that was like Nino Brown, the big one, the Zach Morris phone, the big satellite phones. But when people really went out and started getting them,
Nokia's, early Nokia's,
either
right?
late 97 or 98. All right, and the only reason I got one is because that buddy got one too.
Okay.
And so I was just kind of hanging with him, you know, and he was a doctor and he was doing well, and so I probably, that was like, I remember it was the StarTech 1000 or StarTech 2000 or who knows what. And so I basically, I didn't need to get as fancy of a phone as I did, but I did it to kind of keep up with him a little. And so Goze, to answer your question, it wasn't really like people were texting much or really exchanging the numbers. I'm not even sure she had one. And that's how we avoided that one. And here's one more, because MMA is slow right now, and we will talk to Taiwan Claxton and we will talk to Devin Brock today, two young up-and-comers that have a lot of promise. They will come on in, let's see, Taiwan in about 15 minutes and Devin in about 45. So we got time, some time. Now I don't see the fucking lines blowing up, so here we go. So then there's another one too. This one I'll throw. The other doctor, he was with me, and we went to, this was 98 again.
So you're close to 30. Keeping in theme here, right?
I guess so, yeah.
All right, okay.
It was 98, and I think I told this one on the show before, but maybe I didn't. Okay. But if I did, it was a long time ago.
98 was a crazy year.
So 98 was World Cup. It was in France. And I went with the other doctor to have lunch at the strip bar. And there was a girl named Ingi there. She was from Norway. And she was hot. I mean, really, there's no way around it, because that club wasn't really known for having tons of hotties. They just had occasional, because it really wasn't like a Mecca. It wasn't like a Rhino or a Sapphire or even a Fritz back in SoCal. It was just a small little club that had been there for a long time, but they had real strict rules. Like they had lines like the warning track in baseball, where she couldn't pass that in giving you the lap dance. So it's not like there was really any much snuggling going on, you know what I mean? But this one was a little bit more nutty, we'll say. And she was really pretty. I mean, anybody that you go, remember Ingi, they go, oh, I mean, like, she was a standout. So we went, and I think our cousin, no, I think Straub had brought me back a shirt from Brazil, and I was wearing it. And she goes, Norway plays Brazil. I go, yeah. She goes, yeah. And I go, let's make a bet. She goes, okay. And I knew Brazil was obviously stacked. Who doesn't know that, right? We're talking about like Romario. I don't even know if Ronaldinho was on, but for sure Ronaldo, Romario, maybe Bebeto still. Just that classic group, right? And so I knew for sure that we had an awesome team, and I knew I was making a sucker bet here. And so I even said something like, if you guys win or we draw, I'll give you, I'll get 5 lap dances, because she was always pushing the lap dance. How you doing? Good. You want a lap dance? She was like, kind of like a businesswoman, you know? And I go, I will get 5 lap dances, but pay you double for it. She goes, okay. But if Brazil wins, you give me 5 free lap dances. She goes, bet. Because I gave her the loss and the draw. And I think they had started off well. That's when they had Torre Andre. I forget his last name. but they called him Flonaldo. Remember, the big, tall Norwegian guy. Everyone would just kick it to him, and he'd chest it down, and right away they had good position, you know, within the box. But anyway, so I knew I was making a sucker bet. I won it, and then eventually I stopped working there soon after. And this may have been around the time where I was taking my break because I didn't want to be the chiropractor going back in. And so I never cashed in on the bets, right? So Goze moves here in 2007. 9 years later, I move over 1 year after that. We go to what was called, not Scores. It was called something else. Because Scores had a Vegas version. It was popular in New York.
Oh, over here on Flamingo?
No, it was on Desert Inn. It'll hit me. It's not important. But it wasn't one of the big ones. It was just one that was trying to make its name. We all go in there one day. I think it was to watch like either Super Bowl, Final Four, something, you know, a big event. And we're sitting there, and of course a bunch of girls come in. As soon as they set you up with like a bottle and a little area, you always see like this group of girls come in and obviously try and make a friend and then try and get you to get the lap dances. So I'm sitting there, and one girl's sitting on my lap. Yeah. What do you do for a living? All right, cool. How long you been doing this? The small talk. The game's on. I'm worried more about my bet or who knows what. And I noticed the one girl just keeps staring at me. And so I kind of gave her the old, like, you know, the dumb wave. Hi, you know, like. But I wasn't putting two and two together. So I just thought she was just maybe one of those, like, those girls that just have a dumb look on their face and just stare off for whatever reason. And maybe there's someone behind me, or I don't know what, or maybe there's a screen. But it was getting uncomfortable. So finally we reached the point where I told my stripper, they don't like to be called that anymore. They like to be called entertainers, by the way.
Not dancers?
No, once. Who's calling me? Is that Juliet? Stop telling stories. No, it's all right. So if you want a little side plot, yeah, he's right. I asked the girl, how long you been stripping? She goes, I'm a dancer, not a stripper. All right, cool. 2 years later, how long you been dancing? I'm an entertainer, not a dancer. So they reached entertainment. But anyway, we reached the point where the entertainer knew she wasn't going to get a lap dance or give me lap dances, and I was just there to have fun, man. I don't always go and get a lap dance. I just like to hang out with the buddies. And as soon as I did it, dude, that girl got off the other guy's lap, and he must have already given her a vibe that he wasn't going to get one either, and made a beeline for me. Like I was fucking Tom Brady or something, you know. And hey, how you doing? You know, she sat down and she goes, hey, I feel like I know you. And I go, And I go, she goes, where are you from? And I go, the mean streets of Santa Ana. And she goes, that's it. She goes, you used to come in a lot, you know. Now here's the thing, Goze, she confused me for Ralph. Ralph,
really?
Ralph always used to go. Big Ralph.
That was his
I'm
girl
talking
too?
like 5 days a week. He was there like a stool. I mean, more often than the bar stools. I only went in maybe once a month, maybe even once every 2 months. Maybe I could even go 6 months without going. But I know he went in a lot, and he used to push it. And if he's hearing this, he will admit it.
He's hearing
that's
this.
his
He's hearing
thing.
it from under the bus.
That's his thing, you know.
Yeah, it is.
And so she must. What she knew was that I used to go there, but she confused me with the guy that used to go more often because she was telling me a little bit about like stuff that she knew about him, but she just remembered my face, right? So we're sitting there, and then I go, so what's your name? And she says, Ingy. I go, oh my God. Now she had gained a little bit of weight. She still had the exotic look. She just had a different hairdo, you know? And I go, wait a minute. And I told her, and she remembered the bet. And she paid off the bet 10 years later.
Wow.
So I text Patrick.
What a soldier.
I go, you're never going to believe this. He goes, what? Guess who I ran into? He just goes, Ingy. Like,
really?
not even like Samuel L. Jackson.
Later?
Yeah. Not even like Samuel L. Jackson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you know, Kate Hudson. He just goes, Ingy. And I go, yeah. I thought he'd have to take like 10 guesses, but he knew. And he goes, did you cash in those lap dances? I go, hell yeah. So, and that's the last time I saw her.
She looked the same or what?
No, the 10 years, you could tell, you know, like she still looked good, but not the Ingy that I remember.
She looked more like
and
Ingy?
It was just those 10 years where, what would be a good example? Remember when the Angels first got Albert Pujols? And then have you seen him lately? You know what I mean? Like he was like fucking 45 home runs, 130 RBI, and right now they'll be lucky if he plays 20 games. He's just not the same. She just wasn't the same.
Man.
But she's, a lap dance is a lap dance, and it was fun, and she got a good laugh. She probably did it because she remembered it. The story was so explicit that she remembered it. So
I probably could have used a couple of more of those stories in my 20s to 30s, but just to round it back and tie it off so mine didn't end quite so depressing. All that that I was saying earlier sparked a fire in me that led me to do the things that got me here. So I guess what I was going to ask you, because the proverbial playbook over here, did you have anything like around 30, or was it like 40? When was you feel like a certain, a fire kind of sparking, or did you feel that at 30, like, like, all right, get the step in,
career fire,
George.
Life fire,
any
girl
kind
fire?
of
What do you mean?
life, any kind of fire. So I felt that at 30, I felt like get the step in. You too, Goze. You've allegedly hit 30.
When I moved to Vegas.
Was that okay?
That was big.
Yeah, that makes that would be more than an age. That's a life event, just moving, and that can spark it off for sure.
I would say just starting the show, but about 1 year after the show is when I distanced myself from my past, and the focus became more of the show. So that was age 30, 37, 38.
Wow.
It took me a while. Life was fun, and I was doing well, but I wasn't headed towards a road of stability. So I needed to do something. I didn't know that this was going to do it. I just thought it was something we could kind of do concurrently with what I was doing, and I just didn't know that it would take me to Vegas and the Mandalay Bay, and it was Tag Radio, not MMA Junkie Radio, and we were owned by MMA Junkie, now owned by USA Today. So everything just keeps going, to a higher level. And I still, what was fun was when we first started with SiriusXM. I remember I had to, Dan asked me to maybe write a little bit my thoughts on the show getting there, and I was able to tie in a meeting we had with Howard Stern's boss back in 2008. He said, you guys aren't ready for Howard 101. Little did I know we were auditioning for Howard 101. That was Bubba the Love Sponge, Pharrell, Howard. It was just, hey, can you help us get on a sports channel? And so when he told me that, that's what I was thinking. I was like, we weren't trying out for Howard 101. We don't think we're at that level. We were just seeing if you could guide us to being with. But regardless, that meeting didn't go as well as I had hoped. And but in writing that article, which I can find for you guys because I saw it the other day, it felt good, to come full circle and then be with Sirius when the timing was right, because that was always a big goal of ours.
World Cup and the very first Burp and Slurp, because World Cup reminded me how much I liked travel, and Burp and Slurp reaffirmed it.
Yeah, but is that what you were asking?
Yeah, really anything.
Well, life changing. Okay.
Anything. Could
that
be
seems like it's more isolated towards travel, but did it change your life?
Yeah,
life events can definitely do that too. I mean, my travels to Europe in 2009 was a definite perspective changer for me. I know that for sure. But
do you bring it back and keep it with you?
I do, because those memories come up for one reason or another. Like, I still am friends with the people that I met on that trip through social media. I was lucky enough to meet people, whether it was fellow travelers or locals from that area. Like in Italy, was really lucky enough to meet a actual family there that took me in and took me around. And so, you stay in contact through social media, and those memories will pop up. So, I mean, and then, those spark things. But I think it's important, kind of like I think what you're talking about with your writing that article, because correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the process of writing, it probably made you backtrack all the steps you had to take up till that point to get to that point, which is huge.
It felt good. It felt good to write that article, just because the trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
Yeah. I recently did that with Charlie Brenneman when we did his podcast, and I'll retweet that if anybody wants to hear it, because we touch on some stuff there as well. But you brought up the World Cup, and so it goes. I'll tell you guys a funny story. It's not hilarious, but I just can't believe how small the world really is. Goze and I, along with our dad and our friend, were in a small town in Germany, and this guy that took me for 100 or 200 pounds in poker, I see him in Hawaii, like, let me see, later, I guess I could say later that year, or maybe it was, it had to be later that year, because it was UCLA, later that year. And I just kept staring at him thinking, did you cheat me that night? Because I knew I had drank a lot, and I'll tell you guys after the Claxton interview exactly why I thought that. Because I thought I made a sucker bet, and I wound up being the sucker. Anyway, you're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back with Taiwan Claxton.
Garcia, Gorgeous George and Goze.
Just in time for the NCAA basketball tournament, SiriusXM has 3 channels dedicated to the 3 biggest conferences in college sports. SEC Radio is channel 374, ACC Radio is channel 371, and Pac-12 Radio is channel 373. Check them out on your radio or on the SiriusXM app. That same SiriusXM app houses the MMA Junkie Radio Show, commercial-free and in HD quality. You know, I'm a Pac-12 guy in the sense that I root for USC football. I don't care much about their college basketball team. They never really had a program. And I guess because my focus was always the Lakers or modern-day high school, I just, the fact that they didn't have a team, I didn't want to jump and go, well, I root for UCLA when it comes to this or another team. But I will say that every once in a while they make it people tend to make it a conference argument. And so I'll support the Pac-12 in that sense. You know, the West Coast thing.
Right.
But I got to tell you, I don't believe any Pac-12 teams are left, are they? I mean, they got hammered.
Yeah. Arizona was
US,
the last, right?
Yeah, I think Arizona may have been the only team to make it. Or was Arizona State in as well?
No. Well, they were in the play-in, right?
They lost, so did UCLA, and then USC, who took second, they never made it either. That is bad.
Usually Oregon's a powerhouse, nothing.
Yeah. Oregon made it to the Final Four last year, if I'm not mistaken. So channel 373 may not be getting too much love. What's our update, guys, on our guest?
I just tried him again. I didn't get him. Dan, did you get a text?
No text back yet.
All right, no worries.
Okay.
Let's see what happens here. We'll be talking to Taiwan Claxton, 2-0 overall. Taiwan, he also had a lot of amateur fights, 6-0 there. So he's undefeated as a mixed martial artist. 2-0, but you'll all remember him for the flying knee that he had in his first fight. And it was one of those where he covered so much ground. We kept saying he looked like a triple jumper.
Yeah.
It was just unlike one we had never seen. He actually, it's in midair. He actually grabs the hold of Bowman's head and almost has like an in-air type plum, you know, and then boom, crushes his face, gets the finish. In his second fight, we talked to him and he felt like there's a little bit of pressure to replicate not that, but the fact that, you know, maybe it needs to be a great finish. So he was disappointed, even though he got a win.
Yeah.
It just wasn't of the variety that he was hoping for when he beat Jose Perez. So now he wants to stay active and stay on top of this, and we really enjoyed talking to him. So we'll get him on soon. And then he'll be followed by Devin Brock, who is fighting the kids of famous fighters.
Yeah.
He fought Hoist Gracie's son in his first fight and beat him. In his second fight, he's going to fight Kimbo Slice's son. Kind of like, yeah, it's actually pretty. I like it too. I think there's something to be said for that to stand out from everyone else. But really, these are 2 fighters that are just starting out. We don't know much about them, but it's been fun having Taiwan on the show, and it'll be cool to meet Devin Brock and see what he's all about. But
of all the people in MMA history that we could say were kind of being set up, right? Obviously, they probably wanted Hoist's son to win that fight. Who has put together the best career from something like that, from a start like that? I'll give you an example, like a Mickey Gall, right? Someone like that, or would be another.
Well, they didn't. Gall took matters into his own hands. If I'm not mistaken, Dana White came out.
They didn't want him to win that, I don't think.
No, they wanted CM Punk to win.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Out of somebody that was in a position,
so who was
where
the
people
spoiler?
didn't really know him, and they ended up actually building a career off of that.
So who was the best spoiler?
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one. That's a good topic.
Well, Mickey Gall's obviously a great one. And then this kid, Devin Brock, is obviously a great one. But who else is out there? Who else was supposed to... Well, you know who could have really fucked things up bad was when Liz took Ronda's back and backpacked her.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like, that was going to ruin a big... Think about... For one, not just the moment, women's MMA on the UFC stage with them in the main event. Not just that, but what could have been Ronda Rousey. Because if she was taking losses that hard towards the later part of her career, how would she have taken that one? I think she actually would have been able to rebound from that one. But there is some other ones out there. Can you think of some?
You go old school like Steve Jenham. He came in as an alternate like UFC 4 or 5 and won. He became the first guy to win that wasn't in the tournament.
He beat Harold Howard, right?
Yeah, but then he stuck. I don't know how long he stuck in. It gets my history's not that great in that time period, but he came back for other UFCs. I know he wasn't the most successful dude, but I wonder if that just being the first successful alternate helped put a kind of a normal everyday guy into the mix back then. But then there's other weird ones where like this isn't quite the same thing. But
I have one. But go ahead.
When I was watching this Fabricio Verdum footage, we forget that. Remember back in the Pride days and stuff, like he wasn't known as Verdum. He was known as Crow Cop's jiu-jitsu coach.
Yes.
Like that's how he was known for like the first part of his career. And you look what he went on to do since then was kind of crazy.
And now I have two, I believe.
All right, go.
I have two
All right.
too.
So you brought up Verdum.
All right.
Verdum, I believe, was Junior Dos Santos basically derailed Verdum the first time.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, around that time he was, trying to get more money.
Yeah.
And
That's right. Yeah.
Junior Dos Santos came in and steamrolled him, and I think that's what made him go to
UFC
Strikeforce.
91?
But the one I really had was Gonzaga and Krokop.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Krokop already, or Gonzaga kind of established.
Krokop was established, but the plan was for him to come in, take the warm-up fight. Hey, look who we brought over from Pride, and fight Randy. Instead, Gonzaga ices him, and it's Gonzaga versus Randy.
It's huge, man. Yeah, I mean, we have in the Sugar Tour, they have the article right above the urinal where it's where Randy Couture upsets Tim Sylvia, and in that article, in that newspaper article, right up, they recap the fight with Tim Sylvia and Randy Couture beating him, and then on the bottom they go, but unfortunately, what awaits him is this crusher Mirko Krokop. Even in the recap of that fight,
really?
they were already building up a Krokop fight.
Where is that?
This I don't know. I think it was like Ohio. This was an actual.
What part of the Extreme Couture?
When you go into the more public side, not the fighter side bathroom, where you first walk in. That men's bathroom, urinal, right above eye vision with the urinal.
You say you have one?
I have 3.
I got another one.
All
That's a good one. Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
On my birthday, September 23rd, 2006.
Can I
they
guess?
bring in a guy. Yeah.
Shogun and Griffin?
They bring in a guy named Joe Lozon.
Yes.
For Jens
that's the one I was going to say. That's a
Pulver
great one.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
Pulver was already going to be the coach, and he actually had to be the coach, the opposing coach of a guy who had just beaten him. It was just kind of awkward, but that was a great one, Goze.
In the UFC, remember pro wrestling? Ludwig Borga? They brought him in to fight, and guess who beat him?
Who?
Randy Couture.
Huh. Forgot about that one.
And then Royce Alger, remember the big wrestler that they brought into the UFC? Remember who beat him?
Yes. Shamrock?
Enson Inoue.
Enson Inoue.
Wow.
He spoiled the party.
Nice.
Okay, I just got another one, too.
All right.
Would you guys not say that Arona and Nogueira were not supposed to be beat by Sokoju?
Yeah.
Like, he upset
two
guys. He was just being brought in to showcase those guys, and he spoiled that party.
But what I was getting at
this
was
is fun. I like
out of those types of people,
yeah,
who went on to actually make a career. Because Sokoju kind of disappeared after that, right? Like, that's what I was getting at. It's like, who was able to actually build.
Well, none of these.
Because there's a lot of spoilers, right? But not everybody can continue it. Like, you see the first round in March Madness, some of these teams, the second round, they
could
dissolve.
Joe Warren have been brought in to fight Kid Yamamoto and lose to Yamamoto? Because this was in Japan.
Yeah.
And he went on to become a world champion.
If you're not Japanese, you're brought in to lose, most likely.
And he became a world champion at Bellator. So he's somebody that I guess did something with his career.
Chris Cyborg, Gina Carano. They wanted. You tell me they didn't want Gina Carano to win and be the continue to wave that flag. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's kind of an obvious one, but a strong one too, because you look at Chris Cyborg again, what she went on to do from there.
But did they think
dominance.
she was going to lose? I don't think anyone thought Gina had a chance. Did they? Or I can't really bring myself.
Thought Gina had a chance.
Did they?
Yeah.
I was definitely. I mean, I remember being Extreme Couture at that time. I would see her come in and was a fan of Gina. Was rooting for her, and even with me, my limited knowledge back then, knew that I was like, oh, this is a dangerous one. So I sentiment what you're saying, but I guess what I'm saying is, but maybe by definition of what Goze is saying, that still qualifies because it was someone that you can't deny that. Let's be honest. From whether it's 10 years ago or to now, the marketing machine works the same way. They want the prettier girls. I can't put any more plainer. They want the prettier girls to do more well. Let's be honest here. If we're being honest, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that was any different back then. I think they were smart, and I think if you remember, they waited about a matchup or two because she had about Cyborg had a couple, some bouts on Strikeforce before that bout. But if you remember, it was when Strikeforce was doing those dark bouts. So you can actually find him on Fight Pass, but you'll see no commentary because there wasn't even commentary tracks for some of Cyborg's fights.
So who beat Sage and Page? Because the UFC wanted them to keep winning.
Brian Barberina was one I wanted to bump my chest on because that's old Dan Tom's one of his favorite as far as the gambling side underdogs.
Was he the first one to give Sage a loss?
Yeah, but Brian Barberina hasn't. His career is not done, and then what he's done since then.
Oh, he's a spoiler.
Not that much. Yeah, he's a spoiler,
not a guy that took the baton.
Right. To what Goze's definition is, who took the baton and ran with spoiling. You know what I'm saying? So
I honestly think Paige Van Zandt's first fight with Kylan Curran, I don't know that they wanted her to win. I thought they just had the situation where they said whoever comes out of this, we can mark it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and see some of the more notable spoilers would probably score less on the list. Like what was his name?
The
Silverback or the Silverback? Because what was that guy's name?
Big Jim?
No, he beat. I know Big Jim. Belated happy birthday, Seth Petruzzelli over Kimbo.
Yeah.
Because Petruzzelli's career was arguably before that, so it's not like what I'm saying. It was the opposite dynamic of what Goze was talking about. He was still a spoiler by definition, but his trajectory all pretty much happened before that fight.
Mir had already been a world champion, but the UFC would have preferred that Brock just keep going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead, Mazzagatti, that guy got vilified, and Mir won that fight, and that the UFC I don't think wanted that at that point. But Mir had already established himself, so it doesn't qualify perfectly. How about an update on Claxton? Maybe we should take a break.
Maybe we take a break. Probably a good idea right now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. We'll be talking to Taiwan Claxton. He is black, but he's not Blackston. He's Claxton. But you know what? We'll talk about this during the break. I also don't want to cut it short because we also have Devin Brock coming up, so we'll have to figure something out. Stay close. We'll do it just like we always do here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show.
Let's see. Up, up, down, down, left, right, CA, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goze.
Start your day with SiriusXM. Enable the SiriusXM skill on your Amazon device, and then tell Alexa to set an alarm for your favorite channel, and you'll wake up to the sounds of SiriusXM. With SiriusXM and Alexa, you can get the latest sports news each morning without picking up your phone or turning on the TV. All right, we rescheduled Taiwan Claxton for later in the show. That way we can take Devin Brock on time, and that way we can have enough time with Taiwan Claxton. So it worked out.
You know what I was thinking about? But I don't want to do this because I like having it at home. But wouldn't Alexa come in handy here? Like, how many times did we go,
oh,
hey,
who was in that movie?
Yeah, or what country, blah, blah, blah. Alexa answers a lot of those. We just went, Alexa, and asked the question.
It would.
You just reminded me of something from this last weekend that would come in handy. In fact, I tweeted about it. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was an awful lot of cursing in the which often happens with the Fight Pass productions, right? With a Fight Pass card, UFC London, and which of course I don't mind, and I'm sure you guys don't mind. Most of us aren't offended by that, but it was great because John Gooden, and I love John Gooden, the consummate professional, but John Gooden throughout the night was constantly having to go, I'd just like to take this moment to apologize for the colorful language that's being used. I'd like to play spoiler for a second here and apologize. And I was like, can somebody clip all these times? And I started thinking, how useful would it be to have a John Gooden follow you around, apologizing for any and all of your profanities that you made? Like, imagine the
profanities aren't allowed on Fight Pass?
No, I just think it's a different crowd. So
I think he's trying to balance out that role. Yeah. I think at a certain point, too, they did one of those cage side interviews with Darren Till, and you had Till and Hardy, and they start going in English mode back and forth, and their slang thrown back and forth, and he had to go, I hate to play spoiler here, but I'd like to apologize for the colorful language being used. And so
you brought up Gooden. Did you guys hear the UFC 223 commentary team? It's going to have Anik, Rogan, and Smith. Does that make sense?
I don't like it.
I mean, it might work out because they're buddy-buddy.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have maybe two guys trying to do the same thing. Like, aren't they going to not fight over that, but they're there to do the same thing?
Technically, Jimmy does fill the check mark of former athlete, but what I like about Dominic and DC is the fights are going to start off on Fight Pass, and they're going to go to prelims, and then they're going to go to the main card, and each fight, obviously, the stakes are higher. Dominic and DC have seen those stakes all the way to the top to being a champion and being a defending champion. And so I believe, like, when they speak, like, it just comes with so much more credibility. And this isn't to slight any of the others, like Dan or Paul or anything else, because, again, they're UFC fighters who have won their fair share. And on top of that, they're very polished and prepared, you know. Brian Stan, throw them in. But something that's one thing I've liked about DC and Dominic, you know, and knowing what they've accomplished. And so, you know, so Joe, obviously black belt in kickboxing. Taekwondo, sorry. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, with and without the gi. Right. Much respect. Boxing fan, he knows what he's talking about, you know. But the one thing I guess he just will never be able to relate to is what it is like to be in a fight. And when those guys just kind of add, you know what I mean, what the fighter might be feeling or what they felt in similar situations, right. I love it. I love it. I love that in other sports as well. It doesn't have to be. We don't have to have it.
Right.
And because that's how Rogan's been able to pull it off for 20-some years. He's exceptional. But if you're going to add the third person, then I want it to be one of those heavy hitters like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think DC and Dominic Cruz complement Rogan in different ways. And what I like about them is they're not afraid to play at Rogan. DC obviously more boisterous, more comedy, more of an inviting way for the audience to laugh with you. Whereas Dominic a little more sharp, a little more, you know, you can tell he's being comical in his own way, but he's a little more smart about it, right? Mm-hmm. And whereas it can go one of two ways. I'm excited for it. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Smith's commentary, and I'm a big fan of Rogan too. So I'm trying to say this as honestly as possible, but it almost feels like, especially when we were treated for Brian Stan for so long, and Brian Stan, if you notice, he kind of brought about this prep thing. He was kind of the first guy to really go in depth with his prep, to where now guys like he used to work with John Anik, who are just always on point with it. Obviously, John's a consummate professional, but even guys that start coming along like Paul Felder, they reference getting notes from Stan. He was one of the first guys that was doing it, you know, before Dom Cruz. Dom Cruz did it because of Stan. And when you had the few times where it was Rogan and Stan, you kind of saw the difference of preparation. Where Rogan's great, he's great at improv. He's a comedian. He's been watching more fights. He's forgotten more about fights than most people remember. Again, not a slight on Rogan at all, but again, being honest and critical. Someone who watches a lot of footage, you can tell Rogan, kind of just comes in and goes off of his notes and goes off of his feel. He's not asking the fighters how was it like, and Stan was interjecting that. Now with Jimmy Smith, you have a different commentary style. Where Jimmy Smith, he's more of a narrative-based guy. He's telling you more of the narrative of the fight, whereas Rogan's going, oh, look what he just did. Now he's going for this because this Kimura. So it can work. They can work really great layered if Smith is going to be layering narrative and Rogan is commenting, or it might be able to. We might just see a contrast of two different guys, and I don't know how.
If you speak on that, then I know you look at a lot of footage. I'm willing to give it a shot. I might be wrong, but I always felt like they kind of brought the same thing to the party. Obviously, I know they're not like complete parrots of each other.
Right, yeah.
So it's worth a try. That's the one thing I'm willing to do is try anything.
Yeah.
And I'm glad the UFC tried, and I guess they're going to keep going with Snoop. It was just an alternative broadcast. For those that like it, and for those that don't, I respect your opinion as well. I usually just didn't really see it because I couldn't take too much of it.
Yeah.
But either way, it's trying stuff, and that's why I wish the UFC would try the ramp or some sort of a beginning.
Technically, right?
Yeah, they have, but I thought it was going to happen. Was going to be with WME, IMG, because they technically own Pride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they don't want to replicate Pride, I get that. You don't have to, but there really still is something to that.
Yep.
To making it a little bit more of a show, just I guess growing, and just the Super Bowl 1's very different from Super Bowl 52.
No, and I'm 100% with you on that note as far as like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm 100% with you on the note you're hitting right now as far as not just trying something different, but having opposites on there. And we can agree to disagree about, because there's a lot of fan debate as far as the differences between Rogan and Smith. But to your point, remember UFC Sao Paulo just last year? They did John Gooden and Daniel Cormier. I dug that. I mean, I'm a Mauro Ranallo fan, obviously, so like I love having one character way over here and another character way over here and having them balance each other out. Like that's more my style. But yeah, I know I appreciate that if that's the kind of stuff you're talking about.
Any of those moving pieces, keep doing it because I already think they're all pretty exceptional.
Yeah.
And it'll take some time for Brendan Fitzgerald to catch up, but still, for the UFC to have these different commentating teams, it's cool because I watch the NFL Sunday Ticket and I'll be changing from channel to channel, and I see all these different color commentators with play-by-play guys, and then they'll have somebody on the sideline. Or you remember when Tony Saragusa used to do his thing, and sometimes it's the female reporter, and they got away from Kenny Moose and Goose, but they're trying stuff, and that's why it just makes every broadcast different because each one does something different.
They have an advantage though that the color commentator can bring something completely different from the other because there's so many positions in football and baseball and basketball that they have different insight that other guys don't.
It's true.
Yeah, luckily we get these 12 little mini games because each fight's like a game. We get all these 12 or 13 mini games within the one card. All right, so it's Rogan, Smith. Oh, we are out of here. We'll be right back. Holy cow. Okay, it's working now. 11.
Devin is there.
All right. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We're going to start off with one of our two guests. His name's Devin Brock. He'll be fighting Kevin Ferguson Jr. at Bellator 197, which is headlined by Brett Primus, who defends his world title against Michael Chandler. This is Primus versus Chandler 2. As you'll recall, Primus upset Chandler last year in New York City. And now they're going at it one more time. Joining us now is Devin Brock, who's 1-0, and he's coming off a win over Corey Gracie, who is Royce Gracie's son, and now he's fighting Kevin Ferguson Jr., who's Kimbo Slice's son. You guys see a pattern here?
Yeah.
So do I. All right, we'll be. What's up, Devin? How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Why are they throwing you up against famous people's kids?
Hello?
Yeah, are you there? Hello, can you hear us? Nope. Devin. Did you hit the mute button on your phone, Devin? All right, let's put him back on hold, Danny, and let's see if we can figure that out.
We're off to a great stop.
Yeah. Conry Gracie is Royce's son, and he beat him at Bellator 192. And now it'll be Kevin Ferguson Jr., which is Kimbo Slice's son, at Bellator 197.
Was there anyone left after that that would have a son?
Didn't Shamrock have a son who was fighting?
Oh, Ryan Shamrock, right?
Ryan?
Yeah, I remember.
Ryan Shamrock was also his sister's name in WWE.
That's right.
Remember?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. Can you think of it? I guess if you were to fight Ryan Couture.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Right? Same weight class. Who else? Larry Meir had a nephew that used to fight here in town. I think he's now
that was him.
He's a judge. Huh?
No, Frank.
Frank Mir. Yeah, Frank Mir, sorry, had a nephew named Larry Meir who used to fight at Tough Enough. I think he's a member of the Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Antonio McKee, AJ McKee.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Dana White's son just had a boxing match.
Right. Boxing match, yeah. Cupcake Katie was telling us that I guess it was a big deal when they came in and they just took over a whole locker room and kind of a lot of attention for the kid, but I guess what are you gonna expect? Right. That's the way they roll. Who knows? TV crew's probably in tow as well. Are we ready to go with Devin? All right. Devin Brock joining us now on the hotline. What's up, Devin?
Here.
How you doing, bud?
Hello?
Can you hear us, Devin?
Can you hear us, Devin?
Hello?
Devin, are you there? This is comedy here, comical hour. Can you hear us, Devin?
Hey, George, I don't know what's happening, but he said that when he's on hold, like right now, he can hear us. But he can't hear us when you punch him up. For some reason, we can hear him.
All right. All right. Well, do you want to try punching him up, Danny, and see if that changes anything?
And if not,
I don't
maybe
think it's going to.
Okay.
Maybe what would happen if a caller called in? Same thing, same problem?
Probably.
Okay, so it's a phone system.
That's weird. All right.
Yeah, let me try one thing. I'm going to try to punch him up on this other side and see if anything happens.
All right.
Devin, you just heard all of the things that we just said. Sorry that we're wasting time on air, but let us know. We're going to try to punch you up on the other side right now.
All right, so we'll wait for
sounds good to me.
We'll wait for Devin Brock here. Devin, you can't hear me, right? Yeah, no, okay, he can't hear us. So Danny will sort that out, and we have plenty of time. We'll get the interview done. I'm anxious to talk to Devin again, just because of that little spin on things with him fighting the famous people's sons, but the fact that he's got some potential. You know, even going undefeated in amateurs is not easy.
Oh no!
So there's promise there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to learn a little bit more about the fella when we get him on.
I completely forgot about Ryan Shamrock, that whole WWE thing.
Yeah, I know that.
And Val Venus dated her, or am I thinking of someone else?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Do you remember when Mario Lopez tackled him?
Tackled who?
Val Venus.
He did?
Hello, ladies.
Yeah, Val Venus was walking out of the ring, and then he kind of like made a motion towards whatever the girl was that was with Mario Lopez.
It was just a play, though, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Jan Blachowicz kind of looks like Val Venus, doesn't he?
What happened to Val Venus? So many people liked him.
Throw an army helmet on Jan.
I used to dig on Val Venus, The Godfather, when I had my little run again of some WWE for a few years.
Dude, that's one of the few
signs.
signs
Godfather always had his chicks. You know,
Yeah.
did he call them his hoes? I think.
Yeah. In fact, that's one of the only wrestling signs I brought. One of the few wrestling shows I went to in my lifetime. Like, he was in style at the time. It was like '97, and I had made my poster into a ticket stub. And it said "Admit one to the Ho Train." It got on TV though, because me and my buddies were like, okay, what signs are gonna get on TV?
Right.
And then my buddy was like, my buddy was a Shamrock fan. He'd be like, snap, 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 like, because that was the whole thing. You wanted Shamrock to go crazy and hurt somebody.
Did
That's
you know
what you rooted for
Max,
back
our
in
Jack
the
Russell Terrier, made it on? Was it a
What?
Raw?
Yeah.
Oh, you took the head?
Yeah.
Nice.
He got on.
He got on.
Video of it still.
He got on a few times. I think I have it as well.
What year was this?
This was last year.
Oh wow. Okay, recently. Yeah.
Ghost, tell that story, man. Can you? About how people kept moving around, and you were actually able to sit in the same seat, though, right?
Yeah, I got lucky.
But others had to move around. And
I can tell it. Do we have time or?
I think so until we have Devin on the show.
Our buddy Jason Ford asked me if I wanted to go to a Raw event, and I grew up a pro wrestling fan, but I just haven't really kept up. But it's always fun, so I go, all right. I haven't done that in a long time, so he tells me meet me in front of the T-Mobile at certain time. It's like, all right, so I'm going that way, and he goes, look for a guy with a clipboard. I'm like, what? So I go to a guy with a clipboard, and he goes, all right, I'm Jason Ford. He goes, here are your 4 tickets. Go stand in line behind the T-Mobile. I'm like, behind the T-Mobile? What's going on? So I get there, and there's a big group of people. And they're all just kind of huddled around. And a producer comes out. He goes, how many people have done this before? And I'm thinking, Raw? Shit, I've done that. Put my hand up. And then I realized that this ticket wasn't really like a ticket. What it was I was a seat filler. So here I am thinking I'm going to sit with my buddies and we're going to just watch Raw, drink beers, whatever.
Right.
But I was actually working. So so the guy says, he kind of explains the rules. You know, he says, you're going to sit in a seat and maybe we call on you, maybe we don't.
And Ford didn't tell you this was happening.
Ford did not tell me this.
He just sprung it on you.
Basically you have a section and you're watching the card. But if people start to move out of the seats,
and you're there with
other sections, they go, hey,
you're with Jay, right?
Yeah, I'm with Jay, too.
And who else?
It might have just been us 3.
Okay.
And if somebody gets up in an area where the cameras are around the ring, they call you and they go, hey, go sit in section whatever. And so you got to go over there and sit down until those people get up or whatever, or come back. So I'm watching the thing, and we get maybe 1 fight in. And they go, we need you guys. Hey, Melon, we need you. So I'm like, fuck. All right, so we get up, and they bring us over to this other seat, which is also a really good seat. So I sit down, and I'm just sitting there, and it's kind of hard to, like, focus on what's going on because at any moment they come and they pull you again. They go, now you got to go over here. And they did that to Jay and Jason. Once those people came that owned that seat, they had to go back to our original spot where we were sitting, and then they would get moved to, like, another spot. I just got lucky that the person that I was sitting in their seat just never showed up or never bought
So he had a good seat, and you could see Max a lot.
But I was by myself. I had my little Jack Russell Terrier sign, and at any moment I could get that.
Dude, good thing Ford didn't tell you, like, good thing Ford didn't tell you, like, Goze, when you show up, we all are going to try to get on TV by wearing a shirt that spells something, so we need you with a shirt that says A. And, like, maybe you show up,
like Alvin from Alvin,
so you have to explain it to everybody.
You couldn't,
the other 2 jumped around all night?
Too. Yeah, there were rules, so I think we couldn't take pictures, we couldn't drink beer or anything like that. Obviously, you couldn't get up and get anything. You had to ask permission to use the restroom. So I was like, man, what the hell's going on here?
Like Shawshank Redemption?
Kind of, yeah. Bathroom break?
Can't
Yeah,
go.
restroom break,
I
boss?
can't go without asking.
Yeah.
Can't get a drop out.
But the other two were jumping around all night, and you had your seat?
I don't know that they jumped around that much, but I know they did it at least 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I got lucky that I was just stuck in my seat the whole time. And I think at the very end...
Did Jay know what was happening?
He didn't know either, but I think he had done that once before, so he was
Oh.
kind of like, all right, I kind of know how this... I didn't even know this existed.
How would you classify that? A fun experience? Don't ever invite me again? Or
Don't ever invite me again, but it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
You got me, Jason Ford. And the show was actually really good, so I was in that. But there is something.
What's
to
the
just
part
not
that you
knowing
don't like? Because you had a good ticket, I remember.
Yeah, it's just not knowing
you
that
only
any
moved
second
once.
you're gonna get moved.
Oh, I
and
see.
then you don't know where you're going, and then you don't know where your friends are. Like you're gonna be sitting with strangers.
What if they told you, okay, we hear your complaint, we need you, but we'll always keep you in pairs? Is that a little easier?
Maybe, yeah.
At
that
least
wouldn't
you're
be
always
so
traveling
bad.
with a homie.
And the producer guy is kind of not like a dick, but you're an employee basically. So he's treating you like an employee, rather than going, "Hey, bud, you got a second? Maybe when this match ends,
You
I'm gonna need
snapping
you to get over
fingers?
here." It's
Ooh.
more like, "Number 22, let's go." And so yeah, you're getting up, and people are looking at like, "Who's that guy?" And you're like, "I'm walking." Stupid.
And this is all to create the illusion that it's a full audience in the background.
Yeah.
Is WWE the only company that does this,
I
or
don't think
is that
so,
what
no.
all musicians at concerts they want
I
this
know, like,
and they hire this
remember
company
when
to do it?
Kramer was at the Tonys or whatever. Like I think award shows do that too.
Mm.
Well, I watched a clip from last night's Raw. If we were going to weigh in on that, I know we talked about it a little bit before the show, and I could tell that the people in the very front were not clackers, as they say. What they had go as seat fillers. Like these dudes were really into it. Like I watched the Ronda Rousey clip from last night, in case y'all wonder what I'm talking about here. And
What's a clacker? What goes? What goes? With
clacker is the original term for it. It goes way back to the days of Shakespeare, and back in old school theaters, and they would put someone in the audience to kind of laugh at the joke.
Clapper?
Clap,
Or clacker?
clacker, like with a cue, but they would be clapping, laughing. You want to insinuate, it's like a cheat code, right? It's been around forever. Like we have studio audience laughter. They channel in like ha 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 ha, right?
Right.
Like before, that goes way back. That actually comes from a term called clackers. They'd put people in the audience and laugh, kind of like you guys. We all did this. We're in school, and first period's about to get over, or sixth period, or whatever period. You were about 2 or 3 minutes from the clock. I would do this all the time. I wouldn't even pack my stuff up. I would just reach down, grab my backpack, and I would just jostle it a few times as like a sociology experiment. You just watch everybody go, look at the clock.
I love doing
shit,
that.
and they all start packing up. It's
Yeah.
so great. I would take pride in doing it. I'd also have to like beat everybody to the chase, but they're all working right now. And I would do it early sometimes, and then they would start doing it I'd push it. Maybe I'd do 3 or 4 instead of 1 or 2.
If you
and
had a zipper, that would always be.
It was
the
great.
good one.
Well, the best part, when you really get it validated, you do it 3 to 4 minutes early. So you do it early enough to where the teacher goes, "Hey, why is everybody packing up so early?" And you're like, "Yes."
You never did that?
Yeah.
It was always funny just to see everybody kind of like move around.
I just want to know, Danny, is there an update on our guests or the phones?
Do you want me to explain to you now, or do you want to take a break and I'll explain it to you, because it's a long explanation?
Look, this is a quality show, so if something just went wrong, the audience will have to live with it. So go ahead and tell us right now on live radio.
It looks like
we're not numbskulls over here. Some things just happen from time to time.
Remember I said there was really bad audio quality and that my entire workstation over here had to be rebooted this morning?
Yeah.
Oh.
Apparently, during the rebooting process, some little setting must have gotten changed, and they don't know exactly what that setting is because they're not physically here. They're over at the other Sirius building. So the best they can do is say that they're gonna try to figure it out and call me back.
Okay. So both of our guests know that there's a possibility we may not have them on today.
Right.
All right, and then that means we won't be able to take calls either, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Hey, mistakes happen, and basically, we're trying to be proactive because we had gotten some complaints on the audio, and in doing this, when Danny was doing his troubleshooting, this problem happened. So we ask that you bear with us.
Tomorrow we have in studio.
At least we're talking about pro wrestling.
happen.
Yeah, tell them who we have tomorrow.
Jess will be here. She'll be back.
She'll be our co-host for the day. And if we have to, we'll move these 2 gentlemen till tomorrow. So hopefully Danny can send the proper apologies, and we'll get them rebooked for tomorrow's show. And but we're still here. We still got 45 minutes more to go. So let's just take a break right now, and we can continue talking off the air as far as how we're going to handle this. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. We may even have some of the latest news to touch on, maybe even some breaking news that's kind of floating out there. But you'll have to tune in, so don't go anywhere.
Hey, idiot! Yeah, you! Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goze? Thank you.
All right, we're back. And we are figuring things out over here on our end, so we can always try and provide you a quality show. Once in a while, there'll be a hiccup, and that's where we are right now. But we anticipate solving this soon, maybe even in time for today's show, so that we can still have our guests. But if you're not, we'll be working hard to make all this happen. All right. I wanted to finish out what we were saying just to kind of put it to bed. You were saying you wouldn't go back to a show filler or whatever it's called?
No, I didn't like that. I don't even like when you go to an event and you sit at your seat, or you try and move up and you're sitting in someone else's, and then they have to come and go, hey, you're in my seat. You do that.
You'd rather be like Lorenzo the Busman in Bronx style. Hey, I paid for my seat. It's my seat, and I'll sit higher than versus being ringside. But
ringside? Ringside, I might play that game.
You were ringside. Weren't you like second row?
Oh, I'd see him taking Sonny's hand and going taking the ringside seats.
We were pretty close. I mean, we were like where it there's the floor, and then there's where it starts to go up. We were the front row of where it starts to go up. But
I was able to see Max a lot.
There were good seats.
Yeah, well, WWE just came to town, so I don't know if they'll be back.
They already did come back since then. Oh yeah.
They were just here the other day. I think Russ from Boston was supposed to be here for that, and then he. By the way, he keeps talking about the Hopper. The Hopper is some app that helps you get flights for cheap. Man, the last thing I want to do is another username and password, but I was working hard last night on the stuff that we have going on. So I go, fuck, all right, let's download.
I'm about to download
it. Goddamn Hopper. I did it, Goze, and the flights were more. So I hit the alert, but unless this Hopper starts hitting me back and saying, guess what we found, guess what we found, I'm just going to say Russ pulled one on me, or I don't know. But I couldn't believe, I was thinking it's going to be equal or maybe just a little bit lower, but he was making it sound like there were steals going on in there.
Well, the Southwest one is cool when it dings you. If you do, like, say, Vegas to Cali a lot, it'll ding you and say, we got $49 flights or $40 flights, and then you just jump on it. That one's worth it, but I've never tried the Hopper.
It knows what days you want to flight, or it's just telling you we got them?
No, it's just telling you, hey, in case you're interested.
No, the Hopper, you tell them, I'd like to go from Vegas to Norfolk on this day. And then he or she tells you, hey, guess what? The flight is, it's lower. Jump on it now. And it tells you the probability of it may go higher or lower. But I couldn't believe that when I went on there, all the flights I was checking, they were all higher. So who knows? I'll give them 24, 48 hours. But unless something changes, I'm just going to take it off and say, I got.
I'm going to download it right now. Out of respect for the real deal.
I want to say I had a dream about missing a flight last night, but I always have dreams about missing flights. That's my. I don't know if you guys have reoccurring dreams, but that's my missing flights to China or getting out of China and missing my flight.
My girlfriend has the same dream about class with school and missing an assignment, and it happens at least twice a week.
Dude, I think it's got to be some form of PTSD because like I think mine, like for example, this is a no event fight week, right? So I've been in this mode from last year to the beginning of this year. We've been on these big long stretches to where I'm like, what's the breakdown? What breakdown do I got to get done today? What breakdown do I got? And yesterday was like the first day where I was like, oh wait, Dan, you don't have to break down a fight today. Relax.
Even
relax.
When we like, if say George and I have to do the show and you're at home, you'll probably listen to the show because you just get so used to it. You're not gonna sleep in. We used to waking up. It's weird. Yeah,
well, like when I was on the surgery, on the day where we were talking and actually was able to help from home, and George's like, "Where's Dan?" I was like, "Oh, he was up and around." like it wasn't like it wasn't a bother. It just was already up and around. But hey, speaking of this little stretch, you know what else I noticed driving into work this week was a billboard for the next UFC. Now, as a Las Vegas resident, a longtime Las Vegas resident, a longtime MMA fan, me saying that there's a billboard for the next UFC on the freeway here in Vegas is not an abnormal thing, right?
Right.
But you think about it, it kind of is these days because you got to put it up there, and even if they're late about getting it up or taking it down, how long does it really have to be up there? Because the next fight's around the corner. There's, like George always mentions, with this recent trend, less big fights coming to Vegas.
Somebody always gets hurt, and the billboard doesn't even make sense.
The billboard doesn't make sense, doesn't get up, gets taken down. But now, I see this Tony and Khabib billboard on the way into work, guys, and it's giving me some good nostalgia, like the back in the days, where you're just like.
But is it giving you goosebumps?
It is for me, just because I
fight hasn't done it for me yet. I don't know why.
Is it the matchup or the card itself? Because there's two arguments. I mean, the matchup gets me excited alone, and the card itself, just because it's such a stat card. It's our most stat card that I think, arguably on paper, since the July cards the super fight cards aren't formed yet, right? These are the most tangible cards that 2018 has to offer, and I'm a little biased. I am going in attendance. Hopefully, to see you Brooklynites or attendees there, but yeah, I'm excited for this one.
All right, you may be too young to know this.
All right,
you might get this. This is why I think it doesn't.
I might be too old.
No, he's too young.
Right,
you might get this.
Okay.
Everybody knows that the winner of the Royal Rumble fights for the title at WrestleMania, right?
Yep.
Okay. When there's a good fight, say back in the day, Saturday night's main event, you kind of watch it, but you could miss it because it doesn't really mean much. I think that's why I look at this. I need to know what is... I know Conor's going to get stripped, but what's the deal? Is he just going to pop back into our lives? What's going to happen? I think that's why I can't get it.
Well, now there's more talk about Floyd and Conor, and Tyron Woodley's going to have a role in this, and I don't know.
That's why I'm having
here's
trouble
the sad thing
getting fired up.
I'm more fired up about Conor getting stripped. Not because I hate the guy.
Right.
I was actually a huge fan because of the Cage Warriors connection. We had him on the show before he was UFC. We had him in studio. So he had all the check marks I've always wanted from athletes. And then, of course, he became this global superstar. That's cool. I'm happy for him. But the fact remains, in his effort to become so overwhelmed by or driven by money, he's kind of hit, some speed bumps here that just has this trickle effect. It's not like any other sport where the champion is clear-cut above everyone else. He's not. He's just clear-cut more popular. But there are literally 10 lightweights that would give him one hell of a fight. And the fact that I'm not getting to see it, it pisses me off. So I'm excited about it. But again, I want to be clear about the fact that we're moving on.
Yeah.
When he comes back, he probably deserves to just get an instant shot. I understand that because of his popularity. He's just a solid business transaction for the UFC. I don't know when it'll be or how it'll work out, but of course, once we get to fight week, I do want to see who the new champion will be, and if it's going to be Khabib, and that's what leads him into Russia, I think that could be big for the UFC, big for MMA Junkie, big for MMA Junkie Radio.
I'm with you on that, and I co-sign on all those points, but I'll add a point to that where even taking the Conor part out of it, which I do agree, and I'm excited to see the process of that. It's more so for me about the lightweight division, because I would never consider myself an expert on any part of mixed martial arts. I would never consider myself a historian on anything, but when it comes to the history of the lightweight division, I am an all-in nerd. It's been my favorite division. It's been the richest division. It's been one that I've constantly waved the flag for. I've loved all the matchups from top to bottom, even the non-contenders, and this kind of ties it all together for me. So I'm looking forward to just seeing that piece of history kind of be written in, and we can move, kind of like what George said, move forward and into the progress of it all. So
it used to be my favorite division, and then I sided with the welterweights. Started with the Hendricks.
It's a great division too.
Robbie, GSP, that time when there was just so many great ones, and there still is.
Dude, it's top heavy right now, that division.
Featherweight's been a division where I've been really, really excited about the last few years. But I really see that by the end of 2018, it'll be the lightweights again. Who's
quietly made some noise too is bantamweight. Bantamweight's had some
awesome
bangers, and it feels like we've had more knockout punchers and exciting fighters in that division in the last couple of years too. To where they're getting rid of that, because when you have a Cody Garbrandt or a Thomas Almeida or some of these guys in there, and you're treating it like a light heavyweights or middleweights because they can, they're that explosive, and I think that's a great division that's done well for itself.
But one thing they need the matchmaker, whoever has this division. Do you know who it is? It's not important, but if you know,
I think it's Maynard because they shifted up. They went so it's Maynard.
So he needs to get a hold of this division. I'll tell you why. Because TJ is so consumed with fighting DJ, and I've said I support that fight. But what it's doing is he's not defending. Now, apparently there's this injury out there that he needs to shore up. And he just became a pop, so I get it. But between him and Cruz, who we thought it was going to be a minor setback, now we're into March and we haven't gotten a fight booking. That's two guys. of this talent-rich division. And then you got Jimmy Rivera, who's kind of being picky with what he wants to do. So of these other fighters, I mean, this division could really, really be thriving right now. And it seems like it's being held up by those are 3 of the top 5 that I just named off. You know,
I feel the same way with welterweight kind of right
takes
now,
these long breaks too. So and then Garbrandt, like I don't know when you want to, you know, I don't want to rush him back because he got the vicious KO, but he's exciting. So the division, like you said, Dan, it's really nice. It's nice as it's ever been. But I think pretty soon it needs to start going, or the other divisions are just gonna. And how about middleweight? Middleweight was awesome about a year ago. And now we got Anderson has his troubles. Mousasi goes over to Bellator. You know, Bisping's on his last fight. Hendo retired. You know, Vitor said I'm about to retire. I know Lyoto's announcement's coming soon at some point. And then Anders lost. He was undefeated. I was really, really digging him. Costa just pulled out of a fight. Uriah almost died. I mean, like I thought. I remember seeing middleweight at one point going, wow, it's the best I've ever seen it.
Yeah,
and
current status.
I'd love to get it back going again.
Current status, you're right. We have a lot of these rich divisions, but they're in those weird spots. And welterweight, another division that we were just talking about that's right up there. That's kind of logjam too. And we just had our daily debate yesterday about who Darren Till could face, and that kind of makes me think it's just we have a logjam of guys where we're like, we want to get behind guys like Usman, or we want to get behind guys like, you know, Ponzinibbio or Covington, if that or whoever, but they haven't fought in a minute. Maybe not Ponzinibbio so much, but you get what I'm saying here. Where you look at that top crop, and they're also, like you said, they're also good. They all can make so much noise and get us behind them even more. But just not seeing the fights right now.
Everything will trickle down once Woodley makes his decision, or the UFC makes the decision for him. But there are a lot of fighters that just seem to be holding up the division. But speaking of the daily debate, I think now's about a good time to do today's. You guys down?
Let's do it.
All right, so again, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. We're going to talk about this topic, which you've all had a hand on in terms of your votes. 1,018 votes were registered, and it was a landslide. But let me give you the question. After the recent social media barbs between UFC heavyweights Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou, is now the right time to make that fight? All right, Goze, you always go first. Let's go with Dan this time.
Well, I think it can be. You know, we talked about this theme a lot of times when we talk about heavyweights. It's a much more forgiving division, and forgiving in many ways. Rankings, bouncing backs from losses, and usually I'm the first one to say, hey, let's keep these guys away. Let's let these prospects build, especially newer blood, younger guys who have more fresher matchups ahead of them. Let's keep them away. Not in this case. I say let's do it. I think even the worst case scenarios, either guy can bounce back strong in this division.
Goze?
I was part of the 9% that said no.
I
just don't. More so, we've already seen Ngannou face the champion, and it was a fun fight, but you could just tell he wasn't ready for Stipe Miocic. I don't want to derail Derek Lewis from having that opportunity in a division where, let's be honest, the champ is kind of ruling. You got Cain Velasquez in the shadows. That would be fun, but I just don't want to. I want to see them all get their shot. So I wouldn't want to see that happen, so I'm going to vote for no.
All right. And I'll close up by saying I think yes is the right call. And about 2 years ago, I used to say no. I didn't want these fighters that are just reaching their peak to take each other out. But what I've realized is between injuries, the money fight era, the contracts, free agency status, or anything else that can hold up a fight, sometimes so much time can go by, and then either one of them loses and we lose ourselves of a fight that's hot at this moment. So you could go back in the archives of MMA Junkie and see that I've been on the side of no, and in the future I might be on the side of no. You got to take it case by case. But right now I want to see these two bang. They're starting to heat things up on Twitter, and I think it would make a lot of sense. Even though it'd be a guy coming off a loss versus a guy coming off a win, I just think they're both big names and they're tripping enough that I'll forget about all that other stuff and I'll be into the fight. So we'll see. There you have it. There is our daily debate for today. Let's take one more break. That way we can get that out of the way in case we are able to rally and fix our phone situation. And if not, then we'll just cruise to the finish line. And by tomorrow, I promise we'll be running with full functions. But for now, it's kind of like a pit stop at the right time. The yellow flag is out. And so let's gas up and get four fresh tires and see if we can still make a run towards the finish line. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. Stay close, and we'll be right back.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goze. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Just in time for NCAA basketball tournament, SiriusXM has 3 channels dedicated to 3 of the biggest conferences in college sports. SEC Radio is channel 374, ACC Radio is channel 371, and Pac-12 Radio is channel 373. Check them out on your radio or on the SiriusXM app. All right, guys, so here's the deal. Big news here. Breaking.
All right.
Frankie Edgar is back in action. Fighting at home on the fight card that the UFC is having in Atlantic City, which is headlined by Edson Barboza and Kevin Lee. Frankie Edgar will be fighting Frankie Edgar will be fighting Cub Swanson. Now, we know it's not the main event because the other 2 are the main event. Frankie will be fighting at home after a brutal KO. And he'll be fighting Cub Swanson, who was a free agent and apparently no longer is. So let's tackle them one at a time. Well, in fact, the matchup is what I'm worried about last. Frankie fighting so soon. Goes, you like it?
Nope. Not a good idea at all.
Neither, man. I know this kid wants to get the taste out of his mouth, but come on, man. Look, if he beats Cub Swanson, he has scoreboard. We're all wrong, and hopefully he doesn't take any damage. I get it. I get the calculated risk. I get that he's a grown man. He's been doing this for years. In fact, that was the first time Frankie's ever been stopped, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But he has been concussed. I mean, I just happened to rewatch him and Gray Maynard the other day. And so I've seen him, get rocked before. In this case, he got finished, and it just fucking happened. This is like 6 weeks apart from each other. This has Bisping written all over it again. So more than likely, he expressed, I want to get back. Dana White told him, okay, you got to get yourself checked out. And some neurologist out there just said, yeah, things look good, and that's that. But I don't know, man. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I don't like the matchup either, to be honest.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, yeah, exactly. The matchup, what does it really do? They fought before, and I'd love to see a fresher matchup, to tell you the truth.
What was the
match? Just Frankie and Lamas comes to mind. They've never fought.
I was going to say, that was the one that I said on the show, I think even last week. I was because it gives that angle where you're giving Lamas the respect that he deserves because you took away his name, former champion, and Jose Aldo. You took away that matchup for him. He's coming off a brutal knockout loss now because of that. Well, you took away Frankie Edgar's chance to become, the champion. He gets a brutal knockout loss, and now you give him another name guy to get, whether or not we think it's too soon, at least you're giving him a guy to get, appease him and not as much of a knockout threat. It's more of a grappling dynamic match. It was right there for the taking. I can't imagine why Ricardo Lamas would have, maybe, I'm not saying he did, but I'm saying why you wouldn't want that,
He was opening a gym. Maybe he
know.
wanted time off.
Maybe, maybe. I'm not trying to put it on him, but I'm just saying,
but
plenty better matchups.
These guys aren't going to get proper camps.
Yeah.
There's not even a proper build-up. And again, this just goes to there's too many events, and the UFC just doesn't have enough quality stars out there that they feel like they have to rush. Maybe ticket sales have been slow. Did the card really need it? Haven't at some point we accepted that as long as you tried, just give us the main event, and then from there we'll figure it out. They gave us the main event. What's the card?
Barboza and Lee's already on there.
Right. So they got their main event.
Yeah, that's a sexy match.
So we didn't have to have this.
Yeah.
And maybe ticket sales are slow, or maybe Frankie's such a company man that he wanted it and they decided to give it to him. But again, I don't like the matchup. No. I don't like Frankie coming back so soon. And so now let's talk about Cub Swanson re-signed with the UFC.
That's silver lining. That's good news.
Yeah, he's going with the WEC and now the UFC. Zufa's been Zufa now WME IMG or what the fuck Endeavor.
Right
now that's home for him and he's back and so maybe he was able to play some leverage and get himself paid.
Do you see? I don't like the matchup for him for starters. But if you're just gonna re-sign a guy, and then you give him Frankie Edgar, who kind of handled him in the first fight, I don't see what their thinking is behind this matchup. Like, what is it that they're looking for? Are they basically taking two guys and saying, "Hey, at least we know one of them's gonna come out of this strong"? And we
Could
can start
be.
building?
That's what the winner versus winner and loser versus loser dynamic does do, because it puts the pressure. Like when you have two guys coming off a loss that are big names, and you stick a microphone in their face on fight week. And you talk about that. Hey, you're coming off a loss. They know that. That's why they're going to be even more razor sharp because they don't want to lose 2 in a row. Usually these fighters aren't losing 2 in a row. So that's some nice added pressure that adds to the fight. But these guys are so established, they've been paid, that I don't think they'll sense that like other fighters that are going through this for the first time. But you said it goes, you know, what does it accomplish?
Well,
like
what I do find interesting about it is in Cub Swanson's career, he's actually never had a rematch.
No?
And this will be the first time where we could actually see
That is true.
what kind of adjustments he can make from that first fight. If I went up and down that list, though, Frankie would probably be the last matchup. I mean, I guess Holloway.
He did have an easy time with him.
Speaking of that, and here's another perfect rematch you could give Cub if you instead of this matchup. What about Chad Mendez coming back in? That fight was that was a boring lame prey fight in WEC for anybody who remembers that. Chad Mendez wasn't the fighter he was today, and neither was Cub Swanson. It was way long enough. And touching on Goze's note, where I think we can get dangerous when we try to speculate and split hairs to what the matchmakers are thinking. But what I think we can all agree, which I think is borderline factual, is that this is a product. What percentage? We can argue, but this is a product of the oversaturation. So what I will say is, again, it's okay to want fights every weekend, but those callers and those people who love fights every weekend, I don't know if those people have the most right to complain about matchups like this, because if you want fights every weekend, guys, they're going to have to fill spots, and this is a reoccurring theme. It's for a reason. It's not a coincidence.
What are the positives here?
This matchup?
If Cub wins, now we got a trilogy, right?
Yeah.
And Cub's back in the win column over a highly profile name, but the detriment will be that could be the end of Frankie Edgar. Like, you could really see him taking this slide that he just hasn't had in a while, or maybe that ushers him to 135. Who knows? I think I'm going to give up on saying 135 in Frankie. I don't know that we'll ever see it. But
he won 4 straight before the last loss to
Frankie?
Ortega. No, Cub. So
did he really?
Yeah, he won 4 straight, and then he lost to Brian Ortega.
Okay.
So I guess one more there over a high-profile name like that, yeah, puts him kind of in a nice spot. But
here's the card. You tell me if they really needed Frankie versus Cub. Unless tickets were porous.
Right.
Barbosa Lee, Corey Anderson versus Patrick Cummins. That's got to be a loser league town. Right? I mean, they've they've had some losses.
Yeah.
I'm being fair here. Branch versus Santos. I'm in. Garcia versus LaFleur. Well, they had more promise 3 years ago, but okay, that's what names like that what they do is they fill a card. Brett Johns versus Aljamain Sterling. That's a good fight. Sterling's got pressure. He's coming off the vicious KO. He wants to give Johns his first loss. Johns is his chance to really put himself over against yet another bigger name, Dan Hooker versus Jim Miller. Okay, Miller's from Jersey. I get it. Hooker gets a contract. He stays busy. Magomed Bibulatov versus Ulka Sasaki. Yes. I like Bibulatov.
This is a hardcore card, but I
can't believe it took me so long to just say out yes. CR is making a comeback.
Nice.
Barhodizada versus Luan Chagas. Tony Martin versus Keita. So you see what I'm saying?
I
just had enough. Aspen Ladd's on there. Uriah Hall. Damn. Dude, that's right. The cost of fight loss.
Right, though. It's a hardcore card.
It's just like the UFC Norfolk, where you're going to have
this isn't garbage.
It's going to be like a UFC Norfolk.
Didn't we have a card recently where we were like, what the fuck is going on? Why should we tune in? That's not that one.
But it's a hardcore card. It really is.
It lost cost. Costa Hall would have really been nice.
Yeah.
I like Aspen, so I'm partial. And John Sterling, that's solid. And Branch Santos, I think it's a little bit more than that, Goze.
Think so?
I think so. I know I've looked at some cards and went, whoa. There is a drop-off from main and co-main. There's a drop-off from main to co-main, and then there's this big drop-off from co-main to the rest. And I hear, like, grab me some popcorn, man. I'm in.
It's just ironic. It's like I know. I sound fickle and hypocritical by saying this, and make up your mind. What do you want? Do you want meritocracy? Do you want old school booking? Do you want new school booking? What do you want here? But I actually wouldn't mind some old school booking, I guess is what I'm saying, where you put the hometown guys, but you give them a manageable matchup. Jim Miller, like you said, he's lower on the card. Granted, he has a bit more of a manageable matchup, but this reminds me of he wasn't coming off a loss, granted, but it was a real fragile point of Jim Miller's career where they gave Jim Miller the old Joe Lozon trajectory, where you're a great guy, you're a company guy, you're always putting on the fights, you're middle class, but you're bringing in fans, you're earning bonuses. But it was a weird thing where we'll give you a guy like a Gabe Rudiger, no offense to a Gabe Rudiger, and then Joe Lozon, you're getting Melvin Gillard on a winning streak. You know what I'm saying? And they did the same thing to Jim Miller where they give him these low opponents, and they go way up high for a high opponent. And it was a crucial time where Jim Miller needed to win, but they also needed a headliner spot in Jersey. What do? They put him against Cowboy, and Jim Miller suffers his first knockout loss ever. Now, who's to say he probably wasn't going to already lose that fight? You know, obviously you could make an argument there.
And he's a grown man who's on a contract.
Absolutely.
But you're right. Like,
but it's one of those things. Like, if we're going to set him in their hometown,
sounds forced.
Yeah, let's set him up to win because
like Till.
Yeah,
they're building a whole card over a guy that's healthy, far removed from his last fight. You know what I mean? Like, and granted, even that's in May, but we're still 2 months away.
Right.
And the kid's, just younger. This is a guy that we scraped up. I mean, dude, have you seen the what's it called? When they show the fights again through the lens of the corners.
Agony and defeat?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, that's brutal to watch Frankie get hit and lift it off. And, you saw the sorrow and the sadness in his corner because they knew what it meant, along with just the title shot, the win bonus, the injury, man. You could tell Mark Henry was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
He saw his friend hurt.
Yeah.
At that point, he wasn't thinking win bonus and title shot. He saw his friend hurt. That was just a few weeks ago. It was March 3rd, 4th?
I want to say March 4th.
Today's the 20th.
And today's the 20th. That card they're going to fight on now is the 21st. So, folks, doing the math at home, that's
6
less
weeks,
than a month
7
for
weeks.
another title fight.
I don't like it, man. Yeah, because
five-round title fight. 5-round fight. 5-round fight.
Oh, he's the main event now?
Is that what you had on the screen you pulled up? Because did they have him build it?
We don't know for sure.
Okay, I hope so. I hope so.
I think it's Lee. Yeah, these guys are hitting the bell over there. But here's the thing.
Okay.
So let's just say it's not even a weight issue. He makes weight.
Right.
It's the fact that when him and Henry are training for Cub Swanson, because Cub Swanson's got some good boxing, are they even going to be able to fully train? Because he's still recovering. You don't want to be, going too hard, right?
Yeah. And assuming they're both healthy guys, they're both traditionally guys that are hard to finish. So now we got two guys who the UFC has traditionally, they've been company guys, they've been fan favorites, sure, but let's be honest, from Cubs' recent negotiations to Frankie's own issues, they haven't really gotten the shine or the bump to the title that they arguably deservedly could have. So now we're in the situation where, like Goze said, what do we have to gain here? So you essentially, we essentially crossed out all the boxes that they can't really gain, narrowing it down to they need a great performance here to get any kind of traction to get their self back on track. But now you're faced against two tough guys, and again, let's say they're in the co-main event. There's positive and negatives to both, right? But the negative to, I would say, being in a co-main event, now you only have 3 rounds to make a statement against two guys who are used to going 5 that are tough to finish, and they're just going to put more miles on their body, especially Frankie's, for what we just said. For, again, kind of for what thing? I don't want to be too negative here. Let's not forget Frankie, like Goze reminded us, Frankie put work on Cub the first time they met. I'm not trying to forget any of that, but I'm thinking more of the health aspect.
I can't confirm it. I'm looking at Brett Okamoto's story. He's the one that broke it. Follow him on Twitter, B Okamoto.
Okay.
ESPN. But it doesn't clarify whether it's the co-main or main. I can't believe that.
It's got to be co-main.
It's got to be just because of the concussion alone.
Yeah.
Like in the time, I don't see that. The other guys, I think, were properly introduced as the main event, and so I'm happy for Cub. Hopefully, he got himself a good contract.
Yeah.
And Cub, from Cub's point of view, he's a fighter. He thinks he can beat Frankie, so he gets a chance to avenge.
Yeah, no, it's
he probably
good for him,
use that leverage to get himself a good contract.
Yeah,
he gets to fight soon. So all those I think are plug, and he gets to fight
a billing spot.
What's the right word? I don't want to say a hobbled Frankie, a less than 100% Frankie, because we don't know. But I almost feel like Gladiator when he got stabbed before he went out.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take away anything from Cub if Cub were to beat him. But the fact remains is this is just a quick turnaround for Frankie Edgar. So I don't know that we'll be getting the best. I'm sure you guys can cite cases of fighters that were able to pull off 2 big wins. Marlon Moraes did it. Chris Lieben did it. Yeah. So it has happened in the past. Right. But whatever.
He had to have gotten the contract that he wanted, because really the other option, which we all would probably agree with, is Bellator, and all his friends fight there. He's a local guy.
Yep.
I mean, that kind of seemed like if he was going to go away, that would be a good option for him. But I have to imagine, especially short notice like this, he probably got a good contract.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. They'll be fighting on the Atlantic City card, and that makes up a little bit for Costa falling off against Hall. A
lot.
If I'm being honest with you guys, when Costa fell out, I was hoping Hall didn't get a fight. Not because I have anything against Uriah. I don't know him that well. He's an Extreme Couture guy, but I still want to separate him a little bit more from his episode. You know, I'm sure he's gotten himself checked out. And again, we're talking about a grown-ass man and grown-ass women in a grown-ass sport. I get that, but still, hopefully him and Costa can be preserved for maybe Chicago. And that still removes him from everything he put his body through.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard behind the scenes it did not look pretty.
Yep.
And some people have gone so far as to say, I thought he was going to die. Paige Van Zandt all shook up. She said she moved to 125 because of that episode. That's how shook up she was.
Yeah.
So, but I like the matchup. I certainly hope the matchup happens. What was Costa's injury? Anybody know?
Torn bicep. You know, curls for the girls, I guess. Which is kind of ironic. He's so buff.
Tim Norton Jr. once played a whole season with a torn bicep, but he gets taped up. So I wonder what the recovery is on the torn bicep.
I tore bicep fibers once. It was a loud pop.
Really?
Yeah. And remember Dr. Golden, the guy that worked with
Patriots?
Dr. Stripper? I was lifting weights and I just heard this loud pop, and he said I tore muscle fibers, and that took about 2 weeks to get back to normal.
Like what happened to my calf when I was pushing that sled at Yuli's, where it kind of popped and I went, whoa.
No, it was loud.
Was it?
Like really, really loud.
All I know is if it ever happened to me, I just want the same operation that Scott Steiner did, where you put the golf balls in the bicep or whatever that was, and it's when he made the flex. Scott Steiner, you ever see this weird flex? He tore a bicep, so then when he flexed, it just made this weird, like, unnatural. It's one of the weirdest flexing muscles I've seen.
We are going to be bouncing pretty soon. Danny, we're all good on commercials, right? I imagine.
We are.
All right, quick thoughts, guys. Quick. Ngannou wants Lesnar. Lesnar's not even with the UFC. He's got to fulfill 6 months. But are you just into the headline?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. You want Ngannou and you want Lewis and Goze. Who do you want Ngannou with if it's not Lewis?
I feel like it always depends on who the champion is, right? Because he could, like, Fabricio Verdum. I think he could beat Fabricio Verdum. I don't think he could beat Stipe Miocic. So I think he needs to do more work, and the problem is because he's already fought for the title, he drops down one, but all it takes is one more to be right back in the mix, and I don't want to get him in that situation where, again, maybe like a JDS where you have 2 losses as the champion, you can't do nothing, and now you're just waxing everybody else below you. I think he still needs a little bit of work, so I would say, I don't know, maybe like the winner of Overeem Blades or something like that, something like that.
I personally would go with almost a borderline no-name matchup just to kind of get him built back up there, get a highlight reel, but then do it with purpose where you give him a guy like, I would say Godbeer, but Godbeer just got beat by Sosnowski, who is not a big name, but he is a guy who is going to need another quick turnaround. He's a guy who needs to get the fight to the floor to win. So it gives Ngannou a chance to, even though it's a lower caliber guy, shows that he can defend the takedown.
Which is a boxing model, and it's something that we were against as mixed martial arts media members and fans, but I'm starting to think there's something to it.
There is. You know what it is?
Protecting your investment, you know.
As much as we talked about the divisions we liked, that's great. But was there a better feeling than when Francis Ngannou was fighting Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight title?
Yes.
Big, mean bastards. You look up on the screen and you go, holy shit.
Great.
Those two probably are the 2 meanest guys walking the planet. There was something to that night where we were all just like, I can't wait. Every second was valuable.
So you're saying help guide the man towards that again.
Create that
I
moment
agree.
for mixed martial arts fans.
I agree.
Yeah. In boxing, they do it for 30 fights. In MMA, we're just saying maybe once or twice per career. Some of these fighters will need that. Darren Stewart versus Eric Spicely. They're headed to Liverpool. And we also have Warley Alves set to meet Sultan Aliyev at UFC 224 in Rio de Janeiro. All of this is on the front page of MMA Junkie, including the latest episode for our good friend Ben Folks, him and his partner, Chad Dundas. They dropped 298. The co-main event podcast, check that out. They're closing on 300. All right, so we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. For Danny and Dan and Goze, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be champions.